There's Christy.
I'm here.
You're here.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. So Christy, I've gone through everything. I've called the meeting to order, waiting for you to do attendance, please.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to start with our current board. Is Director Barron? Or, maybe we would need to wait till everybody gets
Okay,
signed
yeah.
in.
Okay, I thought she's already logged in.
Apologize for the confusion. Jane and attendees. Oh, okay.
I'm back.
Okay, I think we've got everybody. Yes. Okay.
Well, I don't see Jane.
Attendance. Director Barron.
She's on mute.
Okay, well, we see she's here.
Yep.
Director Carlyn.
Aye.
Director Hahn.
Aye.
Vice President Quinn.
Here.
President Roberts.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, you want to do the two new board members now?
Oh, I'm
For
sorry
attendance.
about that.
No problem.
And then we'd like to welcome our new new
Are we going to
directors,
skip
Director
pledge?
Grace
Are we going
and
to skip
Director
the pledge?
Jensen.
Hello? We have a pledge
we're
of
not-
allegiance. Are we going to skip it or not?
No, I'm not there. You, Terry.
See,
Chris,
We're doing attendance.
Christy, Don Davis is still an attendee, it looks like.
Oh, I thought I changed him over.
President Roberts, on the next on my agenda, number 3 is the Pledge of Allegiance and then the election of board of directors.
Yes, we haven't got to that yet. We were doing the attendance for the two new directors. Have you done that, Christy?
Yes, we're ready to go.
Okay. So Christy, if you bring up the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Can't open the file.
Or not. Okay.
I move we waive the
I
pledge.
apologize. It's not going to work today.
Okay. Ready? Begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the
to the
flag of
flag of the United
the United States of America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it
that
stands,
stands one
one
nation
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all. Thank you. Thank you. Item number 4, accept a certificate of the county clerk as a result of the canvass of the consolidated general election held November the 3rd, 2020 for the board of directors. Bill?
Mr. President, members of the board, typically we have received the certificate from the county clerk. The secretary of the board informs me that we have not yet received the official certificate, but we would, unless general counsel has some reason not to, would recommend moving ahead with the agenda as presented and accept the election results.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, I'm okay with us moving ahead under the circumstances.
Yes. So we would like to, you go forward and recognize the outgoing board members. Outgoing, you member of the board of directors? Yes.
Roberts, we need a motion to accept the the results?
Mr. President, I
I'll
move
make the
that the Board of Directors accept the certificate of the county clerk as the result of the canvass of the consolidated presidential general election held November 3rd, 2020 for the Board of Directors.
Second.
Okay, and so we will poll the current board for that. Director Barron,
Uh-oh.
let's see. No.
Still muted?
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you now. Thank you. Director Carlin,
Yes.
Director Hahn,
Aye.
Vice President Quinn,
Aye.
President Roberts.
Aye. And I apologize, I didn't see that on the screen for this motion. Sorry. Okay. Now going forward to recognize the outgoing board members. Director Jane Barron. Chrissy, can you remove the the document in front that's blocking the screen?
Yes.
Okay. I want to be able to show the, there you go, the plaque for Jane. Here's the plaque for the outgoing board member, Jane Barron, and it reads, Director Jane Barron, in appreciation for dedicated service to the citizens of Bear Valley Springs from 2015 to 2020, Bear Valley Community Service District Board of Directors, 12/10/20. Jane, would you like to give any outgoing remarks?
Yes, I would actually.
Sure.
Mr. President, fellow board members, General Manager Bill Malinan, Ms. McEwen, Mr. Jones, staff, Chief Melanson, Federal Counsel Don Davis, and Bear Valley residents. Congratulations to our new board members, Mr. Jensen and Mr. Grace. First, let me say that it's been an honor to have worked with all of you these past 9 years. First as a committee member, then as a board member. I volunteered to serve, thinking I could contribute to the services provided by the CSD. However much I did contribute was outweighed by the education I have gained in the operation of our community's government. We are truly a multi-service district with the benefits and detriments that entails. The detriments primarily derive from providing those services with a limited budget, ever a challenge for the GM and the board. In spite of our budgetary limitations, we have been able to hire and keep a superlative staff. Probably we don't tell them sufficiently often how much we value their service. To the newly constituted board, I wish you a tenure marked by an obligation always to take actions and make decisions based on the best interest of our citizens, our constituents. Special interests and agendas absent from consideration. Accountability and transparency are always the order of the day. The foregoing brings me to the recent election. Never in my memory, or in that of other BVS residents, has there been negative campaigning until this year. My hope is that future elections will be free of this negativity. The BVCSD is nonpartisan, its actions are nonpartisan. I trust that the President and future boards will encourage active participation in committee work to broaden the involvement of our citizenry and prepare more residents to seek election to the board. But our constituents will be discouraged from participation if they are going to be subjected to personal slurs and discreditation that have absolutely no bearing whatsoever upon conduct as a board member. Yes, of course we should honor First Amendment rights, but the board can exert its influence to keep the contest civil and limited to the issue. Thank you all for making my terms in office a memorable part of my life experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, so much. It's been an honor serving with you. Yay. Next, the plaque for Jay Carlyn. You can all see that. It reads, Director Jay Carlyn, in appreciation for dedicated service to the citizens of Bear Valley Springs 2016 through 2020, Bear Valley Community Service District Board of Directors 12-10-20. Jay, would you have some parting comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Steve. So, Mr. President, staff, board, and the public, I wanted to spend a few minutes reflecting on my 4-year term as it comes to an end today, which consisted of 189 meetings, 700 plus hours of commitment to the people of this community. I ran for the board seat to help drive the board to make decisions on stall projects like the solar, dispatch, mailbox, roads, helping oversee the future of the infrastructure, and not having 2 board meetings a month lasting in excess of 4 to 5 hours, regurgitating the same did not get it done scenarios, which were some of the inconsistencies, improprieties witnessed of the previous general manager. Some of these meetings were extremely painful for the public and the board to endure, especially when making difficult decisions to balance department funds, which has resulted in increases in potable and wastewater, and encouraging to defund the police dispatch and the post office. We have all seen the demographics of this community change over the last few years, from a second or retirement home to a place where families with kids make up over almost a third of the community. I'm sure that some are relocating now and will continue to relocate now because of the pandemic and being able to work remotely anywhere as long as there's connectivity. The board are 5 here to oversee and provide direction, approve policy, budgets, and procedures to the general manager. The board is not here to micromanage the day-to-day operations. We hired a respectable, honest, hardworking general manager to handle the day-to-day, and if we're going to do this for him, we really don't need him, do we? The public alluding to the board for not micromanaging for something they are upset with or not doing it this way or that way is wrong. There will always be many opinions, suggestions, and or reasoning of how one could do things in a more productive way. I caution each one of you that there is a board of 5 which needs a majority vote to pass anything. Please keep this in mind, that the information you and the board are provided is what we have deemed the truth. There have been on many occasions inconsistencies of the truth from previous management on progress updates on projects such as the mailboxes, infrastructure, costs, and etc. These made meetings difficult, confusing, frustrating, and floundering, all at the same time creating resentment, refusal, and criticism to the point of being destructive. And I apologize for that. Since the management changes have occurred, meetings have become more productive. The public has opened up to transparency, and the genuine dialogue became the norm of respect for one another. I'm extremely very proud that we have a board, a general manager, and a staff that have unlocked these barriers to include the CSD and the BVSA working together on future projects and processes of keeping this community one of the best kept secrets. There are many things that have been accomplished at the CSD under the last 4 years under Bill's direction and staff, the assistance of my fellow board members and the committee members. Some of those are all department heads were finally filled from vacancy of many years. The public works director, the general service supervisor, the road supervisor, staff in the police department, communication specialist, and administrative service director. Yes, the post office was closed, but there was a savings to that. Water rate study, the waste management contract and implementation of recycling, the transfer station, traffic speed study, guardrail evaluation project, capital replacement plan, phase 1 moving to phase 2, the mailbox replacement program, service and network projects, administrative citation implementations, access gate controls, and the list goes on and on and on of all the accomplishments that this board, committee, staff, and members have accomplished. Sad thing, dispatch was replaced by Kern County Sheriff's Department, cost savings of approximately $400,000 a year. I'm not very proud of having to lose all those families that provided a more personal, small community touch. Yes, the police, before somebody asks, yes, the police department was also sourced. At that time, the expense to replace was greater than current budget. I personally took the time and calculated currently roughly $1,294,084 as being the hard cost of the police department, not the $1.82 million that people have speculated through social media. This would roll out to roughly, and that would be distributed as being the hard cost. The remaining expenses such as building maintenance, administrative, general overhead and allocations, and there's other items in there, would all be distributed to the other departments if we outsource the police department. Just food for thought. Of the 1.3 million roughly that I calculated, based on the 2,874 homesteads, that comes out to $37 a month per household to have your own police department, have a peace officer inside the gate, and not waiting for maybe a defunded sheriff department or a police department or people that are well in greater than 25 miles from our gate. That's my opinion. No secret that the 50-year-old infrastructure has been ignored for many years, resulted in deteriorating roads, water systems, building structure safety, mailboxes, etc., that will continue to cost us more and more by putting Band-Aids and quick fixes versus replacement. It is extremely difficult to think that without increases of some sort, this can be accomplished. It can't. The board members, general manager, and I have made difficult decisions over the past few years to ensure we, the community, are not put in the predicament in the future. We need your help. Remember, Prop 2 and 218 mandates that people vote for these increases. The board only can suggest and put the plan on the ballot. This is substantially different than the 5-member board of majority approval of the BBSA, which can increase your HOAs as they have done each and every year. Security, safety, water, and should remain as focal points for the long-term strategic plans, keeping in mind that they should outlast the elected cycles. Keeping an open door policy, listening to you, the people, all while practicing what I've preached: honesty, integrity, commitment, and common sense. In closing, I appreciate the people who entrusted myself, along with the 4 other dedicated, honorable board members that serve this community in making difficult decisions on behalf of you, the public. A huge thanks to Bill's amazing staff that work for you. I personally know most of them now, and at times their hard work is questioned or goes unnoticed. Remember them when you are sleeping and they're repairing your water line so you can take a shower in the morning. That's Will's team. For those of you on the sewer, that it continues to flow in the right direction, and that's Jason's team. Plowing the roads to the extreme icy, mountainous, snowy conditions all through the day and night, Daniel's team. Office staff in handling your concerns. Okay, mostly complaints. That's Christy's team. Maintenance and transportation, Larry's team. Ensuring the money is balanced, not missing, and earning interest to include excellent audits. Thank you, Hamid. The police department keeping us safe. Thank you, Chief. Don Davis handling our legal issues and keeping us out of trouble. And of course, to my wife, which I've consistently told you're on a need-to-know basis. I wish the current board and the new 2 appointments, Charles Jensen and John Grace, the best to continue to pursue to maintaining the progress we have made so others entering our community will experience the same uplifting, inspiring, rejuvenated, and fulfilling paradise which I and we should call home. Wishing all you a safe, happy holiday and a happy new year. And thank you for letting me serve for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. It's been an honor serving with you. Thank you. Now, we would like to welcome and seat our incoming board members. Christy, will you please administer the oath of office to Director Grace, please?
Sorry, I was muted. Grace. Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, John Grace, swear
I, John Grace, do swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you and welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Grace. Would you like to give any introductory comments at this time?
Yes, Honorable President, I appreciate the time. I'll be very brief here. I do just want to say it's a privilege to be here. I very much appreciate the faith that's been placed in me by the residents of Bear Valley. I truly love this place, and it's an honor to serve in this capacity. I'm going to work hard for the people. I'm going to work hard for my fellow board members. Look forward to working with this board. And as Director Carlyn had said, a lot of challenges, obviously, but a lot of positive hope for the future that we can make some positive changes here. Would also like to thank yourself, Honorable President, and the General Manager, and Christy and Hamid and the entire team there for the welcome that you have provided me this week, and getting me up to speed on policies and procedures, and just getting me ready for tonight more than anything. And lastly, I would like to very much thank Directors Barron and Carlyn for their service to this valley, and just a special thank you to them for their time and dedication. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Director Grace. Chrissy, would you please administer the oath of office to Director Jensen?
Director Jensen, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Charles Jensen, do solemnly swear
I, Charles Jensen, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations and welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Charles. Director Jensen, would you like to give any introductory comments?
Yes, President Roberts, just briefly. I'm truly humbled and grateful for the support I've received from many members of this community. I've been privileged to have so many great neighbors here. It's such a great place to live. But what surprised me more was that the many others that reached out to me to offer their support and words of encouragement. So I can't thank all of them enough. I'd like to thank Mr. Malinan and Christy and Mr. Jones for all the help that they gave me getting ready for this first meeting, which I greatly appreciate. And I look forward to doing the good work here in Bear Valley.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And now we're going to move on for the business of the district. Item number 5 is approval of the agenda, so I'll accept a motion from the board.
Move to accept the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Chrissy, roll call, please.
Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Hahn,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Vice President Quinn,
Aye.
President Roberts.
Aye. Okay. Item number 6 is public comments of non-agenda items. Christy?
Members of the public may address the board on matters not listed on this agenda. The board cannot take action on any item that is not on the agenda. The board or staff may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed, or may ask questions for clarification. These items may also be referred to staff or scheduled on a future agenda. There will be a separate opportunity for public comment for each item on the agenda. Okay, President Roberts, I'm sorry. I have 2 emails that were sent, and then we have 2 hands from the public. So I'll go ahead and read the emails. The first one
I just
is,
want to keep in mind that we have a 3-minute maximum, okay?
yes, I have my timer.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is from Gina Crane. She says, hello, I would like to ask for these 2 questions to be included in the meeting. Number 1, can we get a vote again for locked mailboxes? Number 2, I think Bear Valley needs to better enforce the safety of the horses in our community to have shelter for their horses. There are several horse owners who don't follow the rule. Thank you, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
The second email has some comments from non-agenda items and then some specific comments for an agenda item that I will read later on. So let me go ahead and get started on this one. It's from Jiva Freevert. Number 1, why has the Zoom meeting been canceled again? I thought that meeting was for us with questions from the agenda package, and anything regarding else could speak with the GM. I thought it was an efficient management of his time with the community. I have only missed one since Zooming. Doesn't just the one matter? How long is going to be canceled? I was told there wasn't the attendance required for the coffee. Number 2, the board is voting on addendum number 7, section 2A to lease Jack's Hole to the BVSA. They are planning on adding additional fencing to separate the public access area from the public works area. What type of fencing will they plan to install? More chain link. I understand many of us don't understand how it's okay for the CSD to use chain link while homeowners can't. Please explain why the CSD can use chain link. CSD will half the expense of this proposed fence. What is driving this new proposal? Liability, safety, or another project that removes funds from our failing roads? Is this really a priority? Number 3, on page 105 and 107 of the agenda package, states that phase 2 of the guardrail project is completed. On page 107, there is a picture of the before and after installation of the guardrail. I noticed that the old and new guardrails started well before the curve. It looks great, like it will serve its purpose. If they would have posted pictures of the deer trail guardrails, you would see that they don't start before the curve. They seem to be very short of the additional length prior to the curve. 2 of these locations have homes directly below the curve. I'm not a guardrail engineer, but I just don't get it. I'm disturbed by it each time I drive by them. I'm wondering why some have longer rail prior to the curve and others don't even start until you're in the curve. I think the regulations would be the same. What's the difference? Curve radius or speed? I'm interested in the protections for the driver and homeowner below. Money was spent that may not have fully met the safety requirements. Okay, the other one is for the agenda item, so I will save that. We have 3 hands from the public. Reset here. Kathy Kinnear.
Hi, thank you. First, I wanted to offer gratitude for the 2 departing board members for their service to the board. I've only been here for 2 years, but in looking back and doing research, I've come to appreciate the challenges they faced, both financially and management-wise. And they've made a lot of hard decisions, as I know the two incoming board members will face over not just the next 4 years, but as we're really laying the foundation for the next 50 years in Bear Valley. And I do hope that the infrastructure needs have more community participation up front, and that we try to find ways to engage people at the beginning of the process and not at the end of the process. So I would look forward to having a discussion about how we could increase community involvement in the planning up front. And with that, I wish you all a good night and a good meeting. Thank you.
Okay, next is Kathy Carey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
You're a little.
Can you hear me?
You're very distorted, Kathy.
Okay, can you hear me? Alrighty. I just wanted to again thank both Jay and Jane for their years of service to our community. Unfortunately, so many people do not understand and appreciate what the directors do for the CSD. And I want them to know that as a almost 34-year resident, I do appreciate everything they have done. I also wish both John and Charles well, and I hope that they continue to further and advance our living in such a special community of Bear Valley Springs. With what Jane was mentioning as far as the negativity of this election, I'd like the CSD to possibly consider what Tehachapi City did 4 years ago. Is they did a ruling where all of the billboards and banners were not allowed in the city limits. And it sure made for a much more pleasant election process this term. I just think that this got very much out of hand, and like Jane was.
Kathy? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, she cut out.
Chappelle.
Yeah, I think she got disconnected because I don't even see her.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more hand up, and that would be Zach Crum. Huh.
He's gone too.
Well, he's here, but it's not. Zach, are you able to unmute? Okay. Well, Kathy's back. We can let her finish.
Okay. Okay, Kathy, go ahead.
Hope you could hear me again.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I just again wanted to make sure that we try to keep our elections as civil as possible, so people do choose to step up to the plate and help our community grow and prosper. So thank you all, everyone, and keep up the good job.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, is Zach back?
No,
Okay.
I don't think, yeah.
Okay, well then we're going to move on then. Item number 7 is consent calendar. Chrissy, will you please?
Okay. Consent items are considered routine and are intended to be acted upon in one motion without discussion. During this portion of the meeting, the consent calendar will be read aloud. Prior to approval, the president will give the board, staff, and public the opportunity to pull any item for discussion. The remaining calendar will be acted upon. Any pulled items will then be heard and acted upon individually. A, approve addendum number 7 to community facilities lease with Bear Valley Springs Association. B, approve minutes of the November 12th, 2020 regular board meeting. C, accept register of warrants for November 2020. President Roberts, I would like to pull item B for a separate vote, as our incoming directors, Director Grace and Director Jensen, wouldn't be voting on approval of the minutes as they weren't part of the board at the time.
Which is appropriate. Okay, so pulled. Okay, does any other members of the board wish to pull any other items? I see head shaking no. Is there any staff that wish to pull any items? I see head shaking no. And for the public, Chrissy?
It looks like we have a hand, Jiva.
She's muted. Not muted.
Jiva? You should be unmuted. Okay.
Okay, let's go forward.
Okay, so we need a motion for items A and C.
Mr. President, I move that we approve consent calendar items A and C.
Second.
Roll call, Chrissy.
Director Grace?
Aye.
Director Hahn?
Aye.
Director Jensen?
Aye.
Vice President Quinn?
Aye.
President Roberts?
Aye.
Now we need a motion for item B.
Mr. President, I move we approve item B, minutes of November 12th regular board meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Director Grace?
No.
Abstain?
Excuse me, no, only 3 members can vote on this.
Yeah, he's abstaining.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Director Hahn?
Aye.
Director Jensen?
Abstain.
Vice President Quinn?
Aye.
President Roberts?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 8, disclosures by the Board of Directors. Chrissy?
Board members are asked to disclose any outside communication with individuals and organizations that have an action item on this agenda that pertains directly to them or their specific personal or private interests, and which communication is not included or disclosed in the agenda package, so that all interested persons have an equal opportunity to express and represent their interests.
Okay. Roll call then for the board members.
Director Grace?
I have had no such communication.
Director Hahn?
Nothing to disclose.
Director Jensen?
I have none.
Vice President Quinn?
I have none.
President Roberts?
And I have none.
Okay, give me a moment to bring up the package again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, President Roberts, we're ready.
Okay. Action item number 9A, elect officers of the Board of Directors. Mr. Mellon.
Mr. President, members of the board, pursuant to the district code, the board president and the vice president are to be selected at your first meeting in December, following the elections. So I believe Ms. McEwen had given some general guidelines on process, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. President. Essentially, there's opportunities for nominations, and
Yes.
then it is all aboard thereafter to select your president and vice president.
Thank you, Bill. The procedure will be each member has a right to nominate another member. No second is required for a nomination. And we will begin with the office of president. I'll accept nominations now.
Mr. President, I nominate Director Gregory Hahn to serve as president of the board of directors for a term of 1 year and until the election of his successor.
Thank you. Is there any other nominations? Thank you. Roll call, Christy.
And do we have a second for the motion?
It's not required in nomination for officers.
For the nomination, but for the actual motion, we do need a,
Well, then I'll second that, sure.
thank you. Okay, Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Hahn,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Vice President Quinn,
Aye.
President Roberts.
Aye. Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you for the nomination.
Now you have nominations for vice president. Is there any nominations?
I can think of no one more qualified than the outgoing president, Steve Roberts. I nominate Steve Roberts for vice president.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there any other nominations? Okay. So Terry, would you like to read the your recommendations so that gets a second?
But, oh, you mean
Yeah.
a little bit more clearly?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? President Hahn nominated Director Steve Roberts to serve as Vice President of the Board of Directors for a term of 1 year and until the election of his successor.
Okay. And I accept that. So roll call, Chrissy.
Okay, Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Hahn,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Vice President Quinn,
Aye.
President Roberts.
Aye. And thank you, board.
Okay. So at this time, chairman of the meeting goes to Director Hahn, or President Hahn.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Greg.
First action as president is thank Steve Roberts for his service as the president of this board. It's not always fun, I bet, and I'll soon find out. But thank you so much for serving as president for this past year. You did an outstanding job.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to item number 9B, action item, authorize the general manager to execute a contract for licensed timber operator services with Arrowhead Enterprises Incorporated for fuel reduction grant program. Bill, take it away.
Mr. President, members of the board, as you know, we were awarded a $1.026 million grant for fuel reduction up on top of the mountain to get rid of the dead trees that unfortunately are there as a result of the drought and the bark beetle. And it was a perfect storm that really decimated the woods up there. We had envisioned that we have approximately 300 acres that really need the cleaning. We worked with Jeff Gletney, who is the forester with Kern County Fire. He also assisted in the grant preparation with us. We then hired the Davie Resource Group, and particularly Tim Morin. And Tim is in our meeting tonight to help answer any questions. Having selected a forester, our next major step was to select a logger. As you may know, we've been in the process of communicating with and taking essentially applications from our residents up in that vicinity, and we've used track 3461 as the outside boundaries. Within that, it will get more refined as to the areas that are really most in need of having the dead wood removed. And we went, this is not necessarily a district function, but we did go after this grant because it is such a serious issue up there with respect to potential wildfires, and there are so many trees up there. And the cost for private property owners can be in the tens of thousands of dollars. So we took this on, and we're happy to do it, and hoping to benefit many property owners up there. we put out a request for qualifications, and the district received 5 proposals effectively from logging contractors. We had asked for a number of specific things from them, but how they want to go about it. What are their qualifications? What is their experience? Maybe what plans do they have to take this on? I believe all 5 of those contractors visited Bear Valley, visited the mountain, took a look at what's up there. So we went through a review process involving myself, Ms. McEwen, General Counsel, and most importantly, Tim Morin, who is our professional forester on this project. And at the conclusion of that, we selected and recommend to the board Arrowhead Enterprises as our preferred contractor. As a request for professional services, it is not a lowest bid type of scenario, although Enterprise had a low bid. But it is the kind of the sum of the parts of qualifications and experience and equipment availability that goes into the recommendations. So we're impressed by them. They actually also thought they may be able to complete the entire project within a year. Our grant allows us 3 years to complete this project. And we had envisioned that we would take it in 75 and 100 acre chunks, hopefully. If they were able to do that, I think that'd be great. But we want to move forward. As Mr. Morin had indicated a little bit early in our meeting, I think he now has somewhere upwards of about 120 property owners who have submitted the forms to us. Those forms become the applications that go to the state with now a logger's name in it. And once we receive it back approved from the state, that satisfies our CEQA process. So that kind of serves a dual function. It shows us the interest of the private property owners, and then it's a form that goes to the state. Once we get those back, we'll still need to have private property owners provide a right of entry form for the logger to go up there. And certainly the logger and the owners and Mr. Morin will be out there to pick out what's getting cut down and or removed. There's certainly more details that we'll be working out, and that's one of the reasons what you have before you is a request to authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Arrowhead. And we'll be working on some of the more specifics as they get really involved in particular properties and specific challenges that they might have up there. So I'll be quiet for a bit. It is recommended that you give us that authorization, and I'll stand for any questions. General Counsel obviously is also available, and Tim Morin is available if there's any questions.
Thank you, Bill. I think I'll open the floor to Mr. Tim Morin. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Do you have anything to add or say before I open the floor to board comments and public comments?
Bill summarized that very well. The project is fluent because I'm getting landowner, I'm getting these CAL FIRE documents every day. Initially, regarding the CEQA process, the California Environmental Quality Act, we could have gone 2 ways. One is to go with the mitigated negative declaration, which is very costly and time consuming, or we could have gone through CAL FIRE, which is what I proposed, and done these exemptions, which is CEQA compliant. So I'm glad Bill went with my proposal to go with, and the board to go with the exemptions, because it's more cost efficient and less time consuming. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Morin. Board questions. Shall I start with Mr. Grace and then Jensen, Quinn, Roberts, then me? Sound okay, you guys?
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable President. Tim, I just had a quick question. What is the timing for the CE or the categorical exemption, and who at the state, just for my own edification, who at the state makes that determination? In other words, when would you think it would be granted and you can move forward?
We could not go with the categorical exemption because we are most likely disturbing soil. Anytime you're disturbing soil, you're going to bring in archaeology, which is going to want some type of mitigation. So we would have to go with a mitigated negative declaration.
I'm sorry, I totally misunderstood. Okay, so what is the timing for that process or for that determination under CEQA?
Well, we're going with the CAL FIRE dead or drought mortality exemption, which is what you guys have experienced. We're going with that timber harvest plan exemption, which is CEQA compliant. All I have to do is submit these, and once what's needed is an LTO, a licensed timber operator. So I put that name in there if you approve him tonight, and I'm going to send him off tomorrow or this weekend. At least a portion of them. I got 100 of them, so I don't want to overload them, but I'm going to focus on Upper Deer Trail, Medicine Bow, Surrey Way. Those areas are going to be the first priority because that's the highest mortality.
And I'm sorry, but in terms of the state's action, how is this a 3-week process? Is it a 6-month process? How long would you, before you get the go ahead from the state?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, okay. And then just real quick, I'm sorry to take the time here, but what is once you do get that approval from the state, what is your timing to get mobilized and start? And then what is I know you're going to take this in bites, but what is your timing to, Bill said that you have 3 years. What's your time to complete the project, do you think?
Well, I just want to be clear. Arrowhead Enterprises is removing the logs.
Right.
I'm supervising the project, so both myself and Arrowhead Enterprises are ready to go upon approval from CAL FIRE.
Okay.
So I'm looking at January 1st.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
And if I might, Mr. President, Director Grace, I think part of the unknowns are, they get out there, again, between Tim and Arrowhead, they create a more specific plan. They're not including that in their response to our RFQ. But once they get their, literally the heels on the ground out there, then they can figure out the plan, whether it would be able to be done in a year or 2 years or 3. I think it just depends on what they actually see when they get back into the back 20 acres of someone's property, as an example.
And Tim, just real quick, what happens to this wood once it leaves the valley?
Well, hopefully our goal is for not to leave the valley. We want to save money and keep it within the valley and ship it on the property or dispose of it on the property and not take it off the hill. That's going to save a lot of money.
Understood. Okay. All right, Mr. President, I had no more questions. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for the excellent questions. Director Jensen? Muted, sir.
Yes, sir. My question kind of dovetails on Director Grace's. I noted in the project there are 2 options for disposal, option 1 and option 2. So we're taking option 2 then?
No. If I can elaborate on that to some degree, those options were for disposal. Option 1 is keeping the wood on the property. Option 2 was taking it off the property. That's hauling it to a disposal site. off the mountain.
Okay. And then what hours of operation will this be going on during?
That can be written into the contract. I imagine typically between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Director Jensen. Director Quinn.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Roberts.
I have a few questions, Tim. How many acres of CSD property has been surveyed and for the bark beetle damage and removal?
Right now, I'm looking at some just a few acres up between Teal Court and Owl Court. There's some CSD property up there that we could take some trees out. I don't know if it's suitable for ground-based operation, and we might just put the trees on the ground because of the access. Might be able to get a few trees out. Most of the CSD property is very steep. So in those situations, we could do a 200-foot buffer adjacent to private landowners to take down dead trees and just put them on the ground so they're not a lightning strike potential. Beyond that, I'm still looking at areas up there. I'm focusing on on private property right now, but I will be looking at some of the CSD property while I'm up there.
I was just thinking about the high country campground, and some trees have been removed, so I'm just thinking about that. Okay, the other your comment I want to make is it's an excellent idea not to remove the the logs out of Bear Valley because for two reasons. If you chip it, we can use that for ground cover and those kinds of things. And then some logs should be left for our residents to go cut up for firewood too. So that serves a dual purpose for our residents. So I would like that to be considered.
Oh yeah, I've had a number of residents request to keep the oak specifically for firewood.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, that's all the questions, President Hahn.
Thank you, Vice President Roberts. So if we were to be able to chip the wood, for example, and could those chippings be used somewhere else in the valley? Could residents just come and take that, or does that spread the bark beetle problem to the rest of the valley?
No, it does not spread the bark beetle problem because, number one, all those dead trees, the bark beetles are gone. They thrive on live wood and the cambium layer on live trees, so they're already gone and or died off. Okay. For now, the bark beetle problem is somewhat subsided. The chips can be used wherever you want in the valley or up on the mountain. The problem, the question I have is how to distribute that. I'd like to have one central location to do the chipping. So if landowners want to come and pick it up, great. They can come pick it up. If they want to come and pick up wood rounds for firewood, fantastic. The Arrowhead Enterprises has a product that they've created to make chip wattles. It's a value-added product. It's a erosion control device, just like straw bottles. It's a long tube filled with straw normally that is placed in the ground with wood stakes to stop soil from coming down the hill. And Arrowhead Enterprises has created this wood chip wattle that is just filled with wood chips. It's a long 8-inch diameter tube, so they can do that as well.
Okay, I hope that we can repurpose all of that to timber and save as much money as we can for the district.
That's the idea.
Right. Well, thank you for dressing the part as well. Open the floor up to staff members, if there's staff members that have any questions on this. Hearing none, I'll open it up to the public. I see the attendee list on I don't see any hands raised. Do you confirm that, Christy? Oh, got one hand raised. But we had trouble getting you in earlier, Zach, but let's give that a try again.
All right, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
All right, awesome. So I've seen other communities where bark beetle infestation has happened, and a lot of the wood gets trucked out. So right out of the gate, I would appreciate if the CSD would come up with some kind of control that wood stays in the community.
We just talked about that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm reiterating it. There are several nonprofit organizations in the area that I feel would be able to help disperse that wood. And yeah, but my biggest thing is that it's one thing to talk about. Yeah, let's keep the wood in the area, but it's the CSD that can actually put that into the contract and make sure it stays in the community. That's all I have.
Zach, I'd like to hear from those nonprofit organizations.
Okay, sure, no problem, Tim.
Because we are open to any and all options to keep this wood on the property, on the mountain.
And Mr. President, if I might, we're interested in it because it can help stretch the grant dollars that we do have and treat more property.
Absolutely.
And we just stipulate that in our authorization tonight to say there's no, whose decision is this? If it's our decision, let's make it right now.
Well, I'm not sure if we're in a position yet to know all of the particulars that go into whether we have the capacities and the logistics to do it. I think that's what, once we have Arrowhead and we're working with them, I think they've seemed very amenable to, be a partner in this project. But we've got to have space for it. We've got to have an area to work from. I think Tim kind of alluded to that a little bit. And, so those details are coming.
Okay, thank you. Next public comment, Jiva. You have two hands raised. I don't know how that works.
Perhaps
muted. There you go.
Okay. We had some written questions, Christy, for this segment of the agenda.
Yes, but Jiva's got her hand raised, so I thought that she wanted to.
In the event she can't connect.
Okay. Jiva, going, gone.
We can't hear you, Jiva, sorry.
All right, so let me.
I talked to her earlier today, so I think I answered some of her questions.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read the questions that she submitted earlier.
Thank you.
Okay, the CSD agenda package, pages 24 through 72, discuss the logging contract with Arrowhead. After calling the CSD, I had additional questions. It was explained that tonight's meeting was to authorize the GM to execute a contract with Arrowhead. Final details not yet available. Please answer some questions below. The draft contract posted was just that. Why not more specific? I saw no limit on the proposed contract with the logger or how much funds were set aside for other costs such as fire hydrant water for the logger's water truck, road reinforcements, maintenance for logging trucks, removal of material. I did not see an estimate regarding how many acres will be billed at light timber versus heavy timber removal. What will be defined to keep this contract cost within our grant funds and complete all the acreage that can be cleared. I did not see the RFQ posted so the community could review Arrowhead's response versus the request qualifications. Will you post it? I must say I was impressed with their response, previous work, and details. Why are the other 4 responses not posted since they are public and relevant? Will you post them? What defined the price structure for light timber versus heavy timber per acre cost? Is this well defined in the final contract? Has this been negotiated between all 3 parties? Does the timber removal plan between the CSD and homeowner's property line look to maximize what may be considered a fire break? What is the status of using previously proposed air curtain burner? I did not see it mentioned in this package. It was previously noted that since loggers would be using the backside of Deer Trail, that some funds may be used to maintain this road during its use. What's the GM's thoughts here? Will funds be set aside for additional logging after priority properties have been logged? Therefore, multiple levels of contract work as properties identified and approved through CAL FIRE. Okay, and we do not have any more hands.
Got all those questions, Tim?
Yeah, those are all good questions. Like I said, I talked to Jiva earlier today. We did talk about the, as it looks on the page, the light volume makers and the high volume makers, the price difference. How is that determined? Well, that's why you guys hired me, is to determine that and say, let's say 10 trees per acre or less is light volume, and 11 trees per acre or more heavy volume. It's based on a site specific property, and that's why we're going out to each property and looking at them to measure. It's actually the contract is based on a per acre basis, so we're going out to measure how much of a 5-acre property actually has dead trees on it. It might be 1 acre, it might be 2 acres, it might be all the acres. So that's why my partner, my coworker, and I are going out to measure each property on what needs to be removed. So it's a judgment call, and that's the best I can tell you.
President.
Yes, sir.
There was one question, something about the GM's thoughts, and I think that this is the appropriate time to weigh in and inform the board and the public that I have spoken to the Tejon Ranch management people, because as you may know, when Witten loggers were hauling off of Bear Mountain, they used Deer Trail, which we, I think from a district and a community perspective, encouraged them to go down Deer Trail to access Highway 223 to take the logs out. We don't know yet if that's necessary. We'd like to keep the wood, if you would be able to use it as chips or cut it up. But I've talked to them now that we have, or hopefully have, a selected logger and a contractor. Once we get our work plan put together, we'll stay in touch with Tejon Ranch. I believe that we would get approval to use Deer Trail. So it's not done. We don't have any other right to use that property. So we, like Witten or Bear Mountain, have to get approval to use it and to go through their gates and across their properties. So we're in the course of doing that. I'm optimistic that we would get that approval, but it's not done yet. So this, again, we have a number of balls in the air, so to speak. That's one of them.
Okay, I can entertain a motion then to proceed.
President Hahn, may I have one follow-up question, please, or comment?
Absolutely.
Tim, you had mentioned about possibly you're looking at January for mobilization, those kinds of things, and that's actually our winter time. Do you foresee this crew working through the winter or waiting until spring, say April or so, to go full-fledged?
Well, yes, sir. It is weather dependent. If we get a bunch of snow up there, we have to consider that, and of course, saturated soils. If the soil gets too too saturated with moisture, then we're not going to operate. That's part of the forest practice rule. So it is weather dependent. I know it's iffy going between now and March and even into April. So all we can do is count on some dry weather to get this done during the winter. Otherwise, we're going to be picking it up in April.
Yeah, because I asked the question because, the costs, we don't want to run the cost up for mobilizations and then pulling off again. That costs money. So, with winter coming up, I don't see the real work starting until after April.
Okay, and I understand, and I'll work with the contractor to determine that. We can't predict the weather. All we can do is rely on the forecaster to tell us what's coming up, and if they can look 3 months ahead, that's great. But if they were to start tomorrow, we're good as gold. But we don't know what's coming up, and I know January, February are the heaviest months. So I think if we get snow in those 2 months, January, February, we might be looking at March. So, but I would like to get them at least. They're not going to mobilize if it's bad weather.
Yeah. Mr. President, I move that the Board of Directors authorize the General Manager to execute a contract with Arrowhead Enterprises, Inc. to provide licensed timber operator services for the CAL FIRE Fuel Reduction Grant Program in a form satisfactory to General Counsel.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Terry. Roll call, Christie.
Director Grace?
Aye.
Director Jensen?
I saw you move, but
Aye.
Director Jensen?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Director Quinn?
Aye.
Vice President Roberts?
Aye.
President Hahn?
And I vote aye. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 9C, accept monthly investment report as of October 31, 2020. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, President Hahn. The item before you is the monthly investment report for the month of October. The details the balances in the district's investment accounts, and that is at $5,967,000, and there is $322,487 in the district's operating accounts, and that's a total of $6,289,000. Compared to the prior month-end balance in September, that's an increase of $89,665, and that's just normal operations. I do want to highlight the change there that you may see between the local agency investment fund, a withdrawal of over $5 million, and then you can see then a deposit or a positive $5 million that's going into the Kern County Treasury pool. The reason that we did that is you can see that the yields have changed quite a bit in the last few months. Everything is dropping because all short-term maturities are low. The federal funds rate is low, but that local agency investment fund does fall more quickly. And so what we saw is that it fell below the rate for the Kern County Treasury pool, which is falling, but just not as quickly. So we've moved money over into the Kern County Treasury pool to try to capture that higher interest for as long as we can. So just want to point that out. The next page of the investment report then breaks down those balances amongst the various funds of the districts. And with that, I don't have anything else to point out, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board questions, Mr. Grace.
Honorable President, I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Director Jensen.
I have none, sir.
Director Quinn.
No questions, thank you.
Director Roberts.
Ahmed, as always, excellent report. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
You gotta be excused, please.
You don't want to hang around?
Oh,
if you need me, I will.
Thank you so much for your service, Mr. Moran. You may leave the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks for being
Have a
here.
good one.
I see Vice President Roberts hadn't thanked Hamed. No questions. I have no questions. Is there any questions from public? I don't see. I see one hand, Zach Crum.
Hello. I'd like to, if you can scroll back down to the Parks and Recreation Fund, please. I don't have that good of a memory. My only question is why, so I've noticed that most of the funds change over time. How come the Parks and Recreation funds stay the same?
Well, so on this one, you'll see there was actually a reduction in the Parks and Recreation Fund. So the balance at the end of September was $12,958, and then I show it going down to zero. And really why that is the Parks and Recreation Fund gets its funding from a transfer of the property tax that the general fund receives. And so right now, the Parks and Recreation Fund is actually using more than what the revenues have come in to date. So what we'll eventually see when we get into the current month of December, when we get the bulk of our property taxes, there'll then be a larger transfer of funding into the Parks and Recreation Fund, and then you'd see that balance go up. So that's just where it is now. I don't show it going negative in here. It just would kind of offset against the general fund.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from staff? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Directors accept the monthly investment report as of October 31st, 2020.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? I got a motion by Steve, second by Terry. Roll call, please.
Director Grace?
Aye.
Director Jensen?
Aye.
Director Quinn?
Aye.
Vice President Roberts?
Aye.
President Hahn?
And I vote aye, passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, information and discussion items. Board of Directors standing committee assignments. Item A under number 10. Christy.
Hi, Mr. President, members of the board. So the district code has established 5 standing committees of the board to review matters of district interest and to make recommendations to the board. The ordinance code does not require when the committees meet or how often, just that the chair of the committee schedules the meetings. Committee assignments are made at the president's discretion per District Code 1510B. And let's see, each standing committee is composed of not more than 2 board members and up to 3 community volunteers. Typically, board members will serve on 2 committees. They meet bi-monthly in the 3rd week of the month in the even-numbered months. And traditionally, the president of the board has polled his fellow board members to ask their preference on what committees they would like to serve, but that is up to the discretion of the president. Committee assignments are made in January by the president, and I guess at this time, I'd be asking for your preference if you would like me to poll your fellow board members, or do you have another preference on how you would make these assignments?
Just want to give all 10 committee positions to the 2 new guys. Can we just do that? No. Yes, please, if you would. So it's not proper for me to poll them, but I would love to hear where you guys want to serve. So let's use Christy as a go-between so we're not communicating outside of a meeting. Just email her with your preferences. You'll get 1 chair position and 1 vice chair position, and that's typically how we do it. Any questions on that?
Okay, then I'll be sending an email out tomorrow requesting everyone submit to me their preferences, and I will forward them to you, President Hahn.
Thank you. Maybe do a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd preference. Please don't say I'll be on any of them. I'd rather have some guidance on what you would like to do. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd choice, and I'll do my best to give everybody what they want. All right, moving on then to item B, board comments. Director Grace.
Honorable President, I don't have anything much additional at this time. Just again, thank you for the welcome. Congratulations to yourself on the presidency. I look forward to working with you and the rest of this board, and just glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Grace. I'll go next, but then I'll probably move to the bottom as the president usually goes last. But I'm on the agenda next, so I'm going to go next, and I welcome 2 new board members. Look forward to working with you both as well. Congratulations on your victories with the election. And that's really all I have. Director Jensen?
I have nothing further. Thank you. And I look forward to working with everyone.
Great, likewise. And Director Quinn.
A few items. I would second the welcome of John Grace and Charles Jensen to the board. I look forward to a productive next 2 years. Next item has to do with a subject, let's call it customer service. Right now we are in the process of a community satisfaction, I guess, a survey, and about half the stuff has been responded to, I suppose. And we are also this week doing a big shutdown of the administrative end of this district. Now, I grant you that the district has been placed in an ugly position by our beloved pretty boy governor, but this is the kind of thing that rubs people the wrong way. People who have an assured income are very, let's say, I don't know, call it high-handed about being able to sit things out. They're getting paid, not costing them anything. I also understand that the district has a program for some continuing service, so I don't think that administration is going to fall way behind if we lose a month of open door policy at the district office. But on the other hand, people are out there hurting, and businesses are shutting down, and it just crinkles people's ears to see this kind of thing happening. It's a two-tier system that a whole lot of people really, really don't like. And I would like the district to take a more expansive view of what can be done within the governor's guidelines. A total shutdown, you're not going to be able to tell people, the public, not to do anything. They're going to do things. So the only people who are really being affected by this are the office staff, as far as I can see. And I can't believe that we can't find a way to stagger hours or something, set appointments or something that would make people think that we're actually doing something for them instead of for us. End of rant.
Thank you, Director Quinn. Director Roberts, Vice President Roberts, excuse me.
Yes, I want to echo what the other 2 board members have, welcoming Director Jensen and Director Grace. I'm looking forward to working with you guys over the next couple of years for the betterment of Bear Valley. We have many, many issues in front of us, and I just think it's going to take all 5 of the board members to set policy and set direction for the next 50 years here in Bear Valley. It's we have deteriorated, and we have to figure out ways how to correct this stuff in an intelligent way. And pull everybody together. So welcome to the board, you guys. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I want to talk about the transfer station and the entry. Winter's coming. We need to have some asphalt there. So I'm just going to, you mentioned this to Bill, would you look into it? Our residents deserve to have an asphalt surface rather than mud and what have you, you're going into the transfer station this winter. So I think that's something we really need to take a hard look at and get that corrected as fast as we can, because winter is going to be here. It certainly is. So anyway, yeah, that's all I have to talk about. I just want to welcome everybody again and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Vice President Roberts. Good point about the mud at the transfer station. Section item 10C, staff reports, department heads, starting with the finance report.
Thank you, President Hahn. The item you have before you is the monthly activity report for period 4. That's the month of October. For our 2 new directors, I'll give a little brief overview. These reports start with our general fund. They include all the revenues and expenditures, and then it goes into the various departments of the general fund. And so that's going to be admin, police, gate, and general services. It then goes through our roads fund as well as our enterprise funds. And so it gives all the detail of all of our expenditure accounts and our revenue accounts. We start with the adopted, or sometimes you'll see the revised budget if there's been any changes. We then show the activity for the month that we're reporting on, and then you get a year-to-date total for both revenues and expenditures, as well as a percentage of budget and a remaining balance. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the format. I don't have anything significant to point out, but I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Questions from the board? Mr. Grace?
I have none at this point.
Director Jensen?
I have none.
Director Quinn? Muted. You're muted.
I have none, but thank you, Hamid, for your usual good work.
Yeah, of course. Vice President Roberts?
I have none. Thank you.
Right, so as we do this, I could just poll the board and say, does the board have questions? Or I could call each person. I might just say, does the board have any questions? And if you don't speak up, I'll just move on unless you interrupt or something. It'll just speed things along a little bit. Questions from the public. Zach Crum has his hand up.
Ahmed, I think you know what I'm going to ask. Can you tell me about the Parks and Rec line, please?
Like, didn't we cover that already?
Yeah. It's almost like I'm getting a master's and I'm trying to understand how the CSD budget works.
Sure. So you can see there, if you start at the top of the revenues with the budget, property tax revenue, the $122,000, that is what we had estimated. That's roughly 7% of the property tax that the general fund was budgeted to receive. Then if you go over next to that, you can see 3,773 was the 7% portion that came into the Parks and Rec fund in the month of October. And so to date, there's only been $3,782 of property tax revenue that has come from the general fund. And we would see that, we'll see a big bump in December and then another big bump in April when we get our other big batch of property taxes. What the Parks and Recreation, what that 7% primarily funds is lake fill. So you can see down in the expenditure 50229, water lake fill. That is the credit that's essentially used by the Bear Valley Springs Association towards their lake fill bills. The other line items are just some other miscellaneous expenditures that we charge to the Parks and Recreation Fund. Out of the 7% funding that comes from the general fund, 5% of that is held back to go towards these more administrative expenses. That typically does not cover all of the administrative expenses, and the rest then is essentially subsidized from the general fund. So hopefully that answers any questions you had.
Thank you. Yeah, and I guess I have one question. That is, from my understanding, the water lake fill was supposed to be for 1 year, maybe 2 years, but it appears to have kind of just continued year to year. Is that going to be the case from here on out?
I believe the agreement it does call for it to continue. I don't believe it's just a temporary thing. I think it goes on for as long as the lease is active.
It's in the lease.
Right. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands up. So let's see, moving on to item C2, Public Works Report.
President, members of the board, you have our report. We have our division supervisors available in the event you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Malinan. Questions from the board or comments from the board?
Just one quick comment. I was privileged to watch the road department work on a drain system that was probably, I don't know, 300 or 400 yards long. Very efficient, very quick. Thank you all, Daniel and your crew. You guys did an amazing job in such a quick time. So I recognize that and thank you. And also the clearing of the drains up near the gate in preparation for Granite's work. Great job over there too. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
If I might, I think that warrants a little bit more detail for our board members, our new board members in particular, and our public. What that project that Director Roberts referred to was the gate drainage project that's been in the works for a number of years. And we were headed towards approximately a $600,000 reconstruction of that. And the board approved $152,000 for us with Granite. What we did do with that approval and working with Granite, and we really appreciate their cooperation and willingness to help stretch our dollars, was we did some work with Daniel Haggard's road crew and others to clean out some of the culverts that we could do. Some 48-inch culverts, as an example, were 46 inches full of siltation and debris. So we cleaned what we could and effectively cut down on the amount of flushing that Granite had to do, and translated that into being able to put riprap in there we go. And if you can get to the next page, Christy, this one shows you all the different areas that we served. In particular, on the left side of your picture, there's some orange areas. We were able to clean out and riprap that 48-inch culvert that comes down and clean and put riprap in under Brown Lane. Those hadn't been in our original scope, but thanks to our crews and to Granite, we were able within our budget to stretch those dollars out and really do a lot of good work in that whole vicinity. Even expanding our scope. So again, kudos to our road crew and our staff for getting out there and helping with this project, and we got a lot more done with what the board had approved. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Did you have more, Steve?
No, that's all.
Any other board member comments? I see one hand up in the public from Jiva.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, great. My question was earlier read by Christy regarding the guardrail, if she can read it again, or if you can comment on it. If you remember asking about the length of the guardrail prior to the curve on the one picture that's posted versus 2 or 3 of them on going down Deer Trail, that the guardrail starts in the curve, not prior to the curve, with the homes right above it. So the way I see it is, if you come down and you're starting to miss the curve, you're going to go over anyway. Or if you hit that hard dead stop, you're going to flip right into the house versus being diverted. So I was wondering what the difference is, why one guardrail was treated differently than another. So if somebody could speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. President, let me try to address that. And Ms. Freever, I had written down the note about that on Deer Trail, and I'll talk to Daniel, but I also would like to talk with you and get an understanding of exactly what guardrails at what turns, et cetera. So be glad to talk with you about that and identify them, and then we can hopefully answer the question as well of the placement and their configuration and how that's determined. But certainly we want to make it right. So we appreciate your taking a look and helping us see that.
Thank you for the question, Jiva, and thank you for that response. We'll take that offline and get you the answers you want. Let's see, Public Safety General Counsel report, I think, is next.
Thank you, President Hahn. That has a nice ring to it, and congratulations on your appointment. And I want to congratulate our new directors, Grace and Jensen, for their elections. Look forward to working with both of you gentlemen. I know that you've been besieged with information, that there was an orientation book for you, and don't want to load on too much of legal stuff, but in one of our upcoming items, you'll see that we are going to do what's called our AB 1234 training, and that coincides nicely with your election, because while it's characterized as ethics training, it's really a lot of the basic governance rules regarding open meetings, open records, and other things. So I think the timing on that is good. And also at some point in the near future, I would like to get together with you both and General Manager Malinan to go over some of our legal matters and just have a personal briefing with you both, much like you've received from other staff members. But in due time, we'll get to it. And again, congratulations. I look forward to working with you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, did somebody need the floor?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, President Hahn, we skipped over the public safety report, the chief. I don't want him to feel slighted.
Oh, I did. I skipped. I crossed it off before I called on you, Tim. I'm really sorry.
No,
you mind if we
apologize.
We'll finish up with any questions for General Counsel. I'll come back to you, I promise.
Sure.
Any questions for General Counsel? Yes. Mr. Jensen.
Have there been any resolutions to any of the closed session items over the past recently?
That's what we'll discuss in our briefing.
Okay. Nothing that can be made public?
None at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see any hands from the public. Anything else from the board? Chief Melanson, you have the floor for as long as you want. I am really sorry that I missed you.
No, absolutely not a problem, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. You have my November 2020 Public Safety Staff Report. I also want to welcome the 2 new members to the board. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Questions or comments from the board?
Question for the chief, please.
Go ahead, Terry.
Have you looked at the flag out in front of your place there, Tim?
I have. I have, Director Quinn, yes.
I think we should invest in a new flag, please.
Sure.
And that applies to any flag on CSD property.
Absolutely. That I've already spoken to the vets about that. They erected that entire flagpole, and they're aware of the condition of the flag, and we're working on it.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Director Quinn. Anyone else from the board?
None for me.
I don't see any hands up from the public. Chief, thank you for the outstanding service. I appreciate what you do for the community and putting yourself on the line for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We appreciate it.
All right, so let's see. We got public safety, general counsel. We did general manager report. Mr. Malinan.
Mr. President, members of the board, my comments I think will be brief, but certainly first, welcome to the new directors. We look forward to working with you, and want to also thank the outgoing directors for their support during the last couple of years that I've been here. And then for Vice President Roberts, now thank you for your service last year. Appreciated working with you. And now President Hahn, I look forward to working with you. So it's all new come 2021. Just a couple things real quickly. We hit a lot on the tree grant. So the number that we had, I don't recall if Tim had hit it, I was going to, is 118 properties. So that I think is really good. Another number for us all is within our community survey, some residents may have gotten another survey from us because they had not sent in the first one. So there's 2 waves of the surveys going out to our community to try and make sure we get everybody involved. We have 873 returned to date, and the path we're on, the trend is somewhere in the 40 to 45% return, which Cobalt says is very, very good in the terms of percentages for things like that. I wanted to also just hit a little bit on, I was going to talk about it anyway, Director Quinn, but yes, we have been closed at our administration office. And I would say it's not taken lightly to do that, but I am involved, as I think the board knows. Our two new members may not know, but we do daily, not daily, it used to be daily back in April and May. Now it's weekly, but we get briefings from the Kern County Health Department. It is the EOC, Emergency Operations Center of Kern County, talks to all of the city managers, and some of us general managers are a part of that as well. And the situation that California finds itself in is one of somewhat of a dire situation relative to intensive care unit beds and the availability of those beds. And so there is now a regional stay-at-home order that we are subject to. Back when all of COVID-19 first occurred, we have been following the state guidelines and state recommendations. Part of what those now include is there are to be no gatherings, there are no personal services available, i.e. you can't go to a salon or a barber or something of a personal service. What had been a travel advisory quarantine has been, I don't know, morphed into literally a ban. We are, now how do you enforce that is a $64 question, but the intent is to help people literally stay apart. So there's a ban on statewide travel, a ban. We're not supposed to leave, but for essential services. Now, how that translates into us is that we do have people coming in for services, and as a part, or doing our part to try to avoid any of those kinds of contacts, not only from our residents to us, but us to our residents, could transmit this thing. We've taken the decision, it's supposed to last for 3 weeks, to go for 3 weeks. Now, we are still providing all of the services that we normally provide. Our public works people, our water, our sewer, our roads are still working. Our office people are still working. Our police department lobby is open. Probably the only thing that is not being done is the RFID tags that our employees have to go out and personally put into some private citizen's vehicle. And you can see where, as a COVID concern, we didn't do that before because of the potential of transmitting this thing somehow and being part of that. So we don't wish that on our employees at all, nor do we wish it on our residents. And thankfully, heretofore, we've been clear of any COVID illness in our workforce, and we'd like to keep it that way. And so we're hopeful that 3 weeks of not having RFID service is a small price to pay. We also have the capabilities with our phone systems to get all messages. We are following the recommendation of the state to work remotely if you can, is how they would phrase that. So we're trying to follow with that. our public works employees don't really get to do that. Our office staff can, with technology, work remotely. So we have put into place protocols for that, accountability tools for that, and we do have a presence on a daily basis at the office. So it's a nasty situation when you talk to the health department professionals about how serious the ICU situation is, even in Kern County. So that's what I wanted to tell you about, and it maybe hopefully addresses some of the concerns. But that's the rest of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melanin. Questions, comments from the board?
Yes, I have a question, Bill. This is Steve. The people that have RFIDs that have expired, they can't come in and get new ones. Are they, has that been extended so they can still enter the valley until such time as this, quarantine has been raised?
Well, anyone who had an RFID was given a notice a month before they expired to make arrangements to pay for it. The RFID doesn't have to be replaced. We can toggle it on or off. If you don't renew it, we turn it off. If you pay for the renewal, it can stay on. So again, for renewals, we don't have to have person-to-person contact with people. If they wish to pay for that renewal, we'll certainly handle that in here, and it won't get turned off.
Okay, so they can come into the office here and bring their check or cash, and it won't be toggled off. Is that correct?
Well, and when you say come into the office, they can deposit it into our mailbox. We also have a lockbox where we receive payments, so they can do that. Yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Other fellow board members?
Yes, Mr. President, I had a question about the survey. Bill, you said you got 873 returns, and this may sound like a dumb question, so I apologize, but is it safe to assume that includes the online responses as well? And the reason I ask is because I filled mine out online, admittedly, probably a day after the first deadline, and I did get a second in the mail. I'm not complaining about that. It's just I want to make sure the online, we have some reliability that the online responses are getting fully counted.
Yes, I would presume the same thing, that it includes that. And if you, as an example, were to now mail in a second one, they already have one. So I've entered the second one would not be included.
Okay, that was my kind of follow up is making sure they're not double counted.
That's
okay.
how they know you didn't send it in the first time, Director, is they have some tracking there. We have no idea who has or has not, and that's one of the reasons we use the third party.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Other board members? I don't see any hands from the public either. Thank you, Mr. Melanin, for that report. Future agenda items, item 11, back to Christy.
Okay, we have coming up in January, the Board of Directors Committee assignments. The annual disclosure of reimbursements and expenses is due in January, so that will be presented. AB 1234 ethics training. We will schedule that with our general counsel as soon as we can in January or February. And then the citizen volunteer recruitment and appointments will be taking place shortly, and the appointments are scheduled to happen at the March 2021 meeting. And I did not have anything that came up during the meeting tonight.
Mr. President?
I concur. Yes, Bill.
I would like to put out there, we expect to have the results from the second wave of the community survey and a report and a presentation by Cobalt at your February meeting. So I think that's a good one to slot in there, Christy. And then as I think I've had the opportunity to share with board members is I envision that survey becomes a foundation for strategic planning conversations. So if the board then at that February meeting and maybe even in your January meeting, if we can come to some sense of how we might do that, our current preferred facilitator suggests a couple of literally they would be video level strategic planning sessions of about 3 hours a piece, and he's saying about 2 of those work, and has also indicated that it's been very effective with other clients that he's used it with. So somewhere to try and get that in the queue. So hopefully we all can engage in that process as soon as possible with the results of the survey. So I want to kind of plant that seed, both about we'll have the results in February, and then hopefully as soon after we might use those to do some goal setting and planning.
Okay, I think I heard adding an item E to future agenda for the February meeting for the Cobalt survey. My fellow board members agree with that? Good with that?
Yes.
Sounds good. All right, that concludes the business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
This motion in a second. Thank you, Steve and Terry. I adjourn the first board meeting of the next coming year. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Happy holidays.
Good night.
Same to you.